Hey, what's going on, my YouTube fam? I'm back. This is Larry with Invest and Build Your Credit and Wealth. So today we have an exciting class. We're going to talk about all my strategies to remove medical debt off a credit report. We're going to talk about everything I do with clients when they have medical debt, all the different processes, everything I look for. We're going to cover from A to Z. It's probably be a little lengthy video, but I promise you, this is everything you need to understand. Everything you need to understand about the strategies to try to remove a medical debt off your collection account. Right. So please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, hit that bell for notifications. I am definitely going to be putting out more and more videos, getting them out. I got to be pushing the 1,200 subscribers, but I need to continue to grow. And I need you please share this information. Like, I'm giving you solid information on how to improve your credit, build your credit, all that type of stuff. So it's a lot of things are going to be changing in the next 30 days. So I definitely will be keeping you up on that. But I'm start blogging a little more, just talking about little things. But I definitely want to kind of incorporate more things into this channel. I'm definitely going to be getting back on my investment side, growing my wealth. Great year last year. Took a lot of my profits, bought a car that I like for some of y'all that have been following me. Definitely gonna start blogging a little bit more about that. You know, I'm definitely a car guy. I love fast cars, so definitely gonna be doing a little bit more with that. Uh, but we're definitely gonna be kind of just definitely helping people improve their credit going into this is 2021. 2022, I want people to have a clean slate going into 2022. And if they can get it done before then, to be able to clean up their credit. You know, I preach all this all the time. Credit is the access to money, right? When you limit yourself to access to money, you limit yourself to growing your wealth. You limit yourself where you can live, what you can drive, where you can go. You are being locked in a box, right? And you will not be able to expand out that box. You got to understand there are things that they put in place to limit us, right? And when we don't follow their little rules and guidelines, it restricts us even more, right? So we need to make sure we play the game. Got to learn how to play the game. That's why I love chess, right? Chess is a game of life. You got to know how to be on defense. You know, I got to play offense. You got to think your way through it. So, but let's get into it. We're going to talk. I'm going to tell you step-by-step things I do from a client walking in my door. We're looking at their credit report and I look at some medical debts. What are the things I do? How do I talk to my clients? We're going to cover all of that. So you may see me look over. You may see me read down, a lot of information. And I want to get all this information to you because I want you to be able, and all this information is in my master dispute package. I'm always adding new updates and things like that. If you've already bought the package and I talk about something that's not in that package, email me. Hey, Larry, I bought your package. I see you added something to your package. Do you mind sending me the things that you added? No problem. My job is to help you. And if you could help somebody out, that's great too. But my job is to help you get where you need to get, right? If you're trying to open up your own credit repair business to start helping family and friends, great package to help you get other people, right, involved and get people understanding credit and money and all those type of things. So my job is to help you, right? For real, is to help you. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about all the steps that I do. Client walks in my office, pull their credit report. I see they got some medical debts. And just FYI, medical debts, credit card debts are the two most collection accounts that you mostly see that I've seen on credit reports, right? So let's get into it. So first thing, the most thing, you pulled your credit report and you see you have some medical debt collections on your credit report, right? And you're like, okay, I need to try to resolve these. The first thing you should do is you need to validate the debt. I use affidavits, right? Because my affidavits 2 pages long, a lot of questions, detailed. I send that because I'm asking for specific questions and answers, and I want to get that validation letter. People say, well, okay, but I want that validation letter not just because for the amount and who owes the debt. I want that validation letter to see if there's language in that validation letter that they have excluded or it's not in there, or they're violate the way of their wording it, they're violating the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. And we're going to talk about all of that, right? So some people are probably getting letters and they're already violating the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act and they had no clue of it. They had none. And they assume they sent me something back, so they validated. But did you really look at the letter? Did you really read it? Did you understand what the requirements are that have to be in there? We're going to cover all that. So I send out an affidavit. I'm going to read a couple things that I put in my affidavit just to start it off. It says requesting authorization and validation of debt and the account number. In there, I say, come now, the collection company name, the undersigned affiant and duty sworn on oath, and state the following. I'm going to say the collection company on this account, the collection company name again, to establish validation / ownership of debt. In addition, establish your legal right to collect my medical billing information and demand payment since you're reporting this debt on my credit report. And next thing I say, the collection company name, that she is an officer of the collection company name, right? That the officer agent of the collection company, he or she is authorized to execute this affidavit on behalf of the collection company and is bind to its provisions, right? And then I also put it in a collection company under understand all the laws regarding the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, according to 15 USC section 1692G, the Fair Credit Billing Act, your state Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, section 623, 1681S, 3, section 617, 1681O, section 605, 60A, section 1681C, HIPAA policy rules, which is the Health Insurance Probability and Accountability Act, section 45 CRF, parts 160, 162, 164, and the Model Medical Debt Protection Act. A lot of people don't talk about that. There's a lot of information, and we're going to cover about that too. Those are some of the things, and then it's a whole bunch of other questions. It's 2 pages long, and this is the first thing I send out because I want to know what about the debt. Are you sending a proper letter back from the debt? Are there any violations within the letter that you send back? All of that type of stuff. Are you violating HIPAA? Are you sending information that you should not be having, which violates HIPAA? Are you sending me actual medical information? Now, a lot of people got this notion that just because a collection agency sends you a bill, that they're in violation of HIPAA. They're not in HIPAA does not cover, it does not say a collection company cannot send you a bill. The HIPAA is all about sending medical information. The bill is not medical information. I get a lot of people, I watch YouTube, Instagram, and people will repeatedly say, well, they sent you the bill, they're in violation of HIPAA. HIPAA does not it does not cover medical billing. It allows for medical billing. Like, just think about it. Do you think they're going to put a policy in that they can't collect on their bill? That's not right. Now, if you could find somebody that can show you in HIPAA that shows that they cannot send out a medical bill, you send it to me. Because I looked in HIPAA, I've researched, I've not found that. It does allow for medical billing. You cannot pass information. They can't say why you went and what service you received at the facility with the medical. Now they're in violation of HIPAA. But if they just say, hey, you went to this facility on this date and this is the bill, they're not in violation. They're not in violation because in reality, they all they have to send you is their name, address, and what the bill is. Who is saying you owe the debt? What is their address, the date of service, and the bill? That's all they have to do. And so I want to make sure we get that out the way because a lot of people, and they don't understand why this stuff don't come off their credit report because they just sent them a bill. Doesn't work that way. But if you get it off, I'm telling you, it's not because they're in violation of sending you a bill. I promise you that. So, okay, so now you sent off the validation for me and affidavit. I got the letter back. So what am I looking for in that letter, right? I see the original creditor, service date, amount, but there's other things I'm looking at, and we're going to go over that. So I'm also looking at there are a few additional guidelines that a creditor must follow in sending out letters to a debtor, right? Let's talk about this. The federal law requires that initial collection, right? The initial collection letters has a 30-day verification notice. The following statement should be written within the letters. This is an attempt to collect a debt. Any information obtained will be used for that purpose. Additional letter must include the following. This letter is from a debt collector agency. It is also unlawful for a collector to refer themselves as a government agency. The collection agency office hours must be printed within every letter. Think about the office hours must be printed in every letter. The physical address office must be printed on every letter. So you get a letter and it comes back with a PO address, they're in violation, right? So think about it. These are all the things that you should be looking at. That's why it's important to get that validation letter. The collection letter can only use the terms litigation or legal action if the collector has actually authorized litigation. In other words, they cannot use these terms as a tactic to scare a person into paying a debt. Words such as pay now or pay immediately should be avoided in the first letter, right? You get that letter and they talking about pay now, you should be resending them another letter saying you're in violation of fair debt collection. These terms should not be used in your first letter you send to me, right? A collection aid should never offer a creditor a loan arrangement in order to collect on a debt. So the reason again that I asked for that, send out the validation, because I want to see are any of these things, are all these things in or not in that letter will raise another eye where I could go back at them to show you've already in violating the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, right? I always tell them if they are, when I send out the letter, I said, these are certain things that are in violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. Please, because you're in violation, please remove this debt from my credit report, or I'm going to have to seek additional information on actions that I could take to resolve this issue, right? That's it. Don't tell somebody you're going to sue them. You can't, because if you don't do that, and then time goes, they can turn around and sue you for your threat to sue them. So you don't say that. You just say, I will be seeking out further information on actions that I may take to resolve this issue, right? So those are the things that you need to pay attention when you look at the letter. Now I'm gonna read a court case to you. I'm not gonna go through the whole everything. I'm gonna read you a portion of it. This is all this information is in my master dispute package. So everything I'm sharing with you today is in that package, right? So the federal court holds 30-day validation notice language violations, right? Under the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. So this is a court case, Homer versus the law office of Frederick and I. Weinberg and Associates, right? So, the federal district court in Pennsylvania recently granted a summary judgment to a debtor in a lawsuit filed against the collection law firm under the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. Especially the debtor alleged that the validation notice contained within the firm's collection letter violates the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act in two ways. First, it's stating that the collection firm must hear from, see that word, hear from the debtor within 30 days to dispute the underlying debt, and also in demanding that the collection firm receive, see those two words, that's hear from and receive the debtor dispute within 30 days. The district court from the Eastern District of Pennsylvania agreed with the debtor on both cases. Okay, now I'm gonna read a little bit of it. So what it says is, the court stated that the law office of Frederick and Weinberg Associates PC sent out a collection letter to a Pennsylvania consumer which contained the following validation notice. Unless the office hear from you within 30 days after receipt of this letter, this that your dispute the validity of this debt or any portion thereof, this office will assume the debt is valid. If you notify this office uh, in writing within 30 days of your receipt of this letter, the debt or any portion thereof is disputed. This office will obtain verification of the debt, or if the debt is founded upon a judgment, a copy of the judgment will be obtained, and this office will mail you a copy of such verification or judgment. Right? Seemed like a really good response to your validation, right? But there were two things that validated: hear from and receive. Those two words. That's why it's so important to read over these letters, right? So the debtor asserted that the paragraph violated the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. In response, the collection firm argued that the letter language merely colloquial and mirrored the statute and did not limit the time the debtor had to dispute the debt. The court disagreed and granted summary judgment to the debtor, right? Because of those few words that they added within their debt collection letter. There's a lot of collection companies that don't really understand all the laws and requirements that they have, and they just send out these letters, right? So you need to understand. That's why it's so important to ask for validation in these letters and look at what they're sending you, right? Look at what they're sending you, right? All right. Another thing I'm gonna talk about is dispute debts. All right. Read a little section for you. If a consumer notifies a debt collection in writing within 30-day period described in Section A of this section, the debt or any portion thereof is disputed, or that the consumer requests the name and address of the original creditor. Now, remember again, the original address, like you got these guys sending out, and they don't even send you the physical address, sending you PO addresses to respond. Red flag. They're already in violation. They should be sending you a physical address. You look at your credit report and you're trying to dispute it from your credit report, and you're looking at the address and they got a PO address in violation. They got to have a physical address. You must have a physical address for me to be disputing these. I'm not sending stuff because I'm sending it certified. I need to know it made it there to a person. So you should be looking at those things. See, I'm telling you things people don't talk about, but these are the things you need to understand, right? So let me, in judgment, let me address kind of fell off because I got side. Collection activities and communications that do not authorize valid the subject may contain during a 30-day period. Referred in Section A, unless the consumer has notified the debt collector in writing that the debt or any portion of the debt is disputed, or the consumer requests the name, address of the original creditor. Any action, activity, and communication during a 30-day period may not overshadow or be inconsistent with the disclosure of the consumer rights to dispute the debt or requesting the name and address of the original creditor, right? So when you're doing, you always want to get the name, address of the original creditor, the account number, the amount. Those are the main things they're going to send you. Now, again, when we talk about receiving validation, and it's a medical debt, HIPAA does require for medical billing. Just if they just send you the address of who the original creditor's name, the address, the date of service, the amount, they're not in violation of HIPAA. There's a lot of information being put out there, and if you think you tell anybody to show me where it says in HIPAA that medical billing is not allowed, like they cannot collect on a medical bill. It's only the transfer of medical information. Now, if they send you a medical bill and it says the name, address, date of service, and what you went to there for, what was the service rendered to you, I got an x-ray or all that, then now they're in violation. They should not be giving it. That's passing on medical information. That's a violation of HIPAA, but not the bill. There's a difference. And I want people to understand that, because a lot of people get not understanding why these debts don't come off their credit report. And I promise you, if it did come off, it's not because they violated HIPAA with just the name, address, the service date, and the amount. It's probably for another reason. But I know for a lot of people, they don't get them off. And it's like, ain't they in violation of HIPAA? They sent me a bill with the amount. No, that's HIPAA allows medical billing. And I hate that a lot of information gets put out there like that, which is false information, right? And a lot of that because people don't read and they just listen what other people say, and they sound like it's easy, and then they turn around and just regurgitate everything that other people say because 10 other people say it when all 10 of them jokers are wrong, right? I'm telling you real information, and if they come back and say, show me, because I'm from Missouri, I ain't from Missouri, but from Texas, but show me, like the state of Missouri say, show me. You show it to me and then I'll believe it. But I haven't seen it and I can't find it. So and HIPAA's a big manual, unless I just overseen it, I want somebody to show it to me. I challenge people to show me where it says that a bill is a violation of HIPAA. All right. So the next thing I look at, what a lot of people don't talk about, right? But on this channel, we dig deep, because there's a lot of different manuals and regulations out there, and people don't like to cover. Me, I'm going to cover the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. I'm going to cover the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I'm going to let y'all know about the Consumer Reporting Guide that has Metro 2. And now we're going to talk about the Mobile Medical Debt Protection Act. Things people don't talk about, right? Things that also have guidelines and rules that medical collection agencies must follow, and things you need to know, because it may ways where you can get that medical debt forgiven, right? So we're going to talk about, there's a total of 21 sections in this guide. I'm only going to just briefly cover 4. 1, financial assistance policies for large healthcare facilities. We're going to talk a little about billing and collection rules, limits, and creditors. We're going to talk about medical debt and consumer reporting agencies. And we're going to talk about debt forgiveness by medical creditors. Right? We're going to talk about those sections. So first thing we're going to kind of talk about, I'm going to cover a little bit by, is required steps before billing a patient. Consumer protection regarding billing and collections would apply to all healthcare providers, not just large healthcare facilities that are required to establish the FPA, right, which is the financial assistance policy. It is not if you're not already doing so, large healthcare facilities would be required to offer a screened patient for insurance eligibility, right, and eligibility for other programs such as state medical hardship programs, state children catastrophic illness funds and state agencies, and assist people with certain physical and medical health conditions. Large healthcare facilities will be required to give patients a copy of the financial assistance policy uh, post and or the FPA on a website and provide copies of the application upon request. So if you lost your job and during COVID and you've lost and start assisting a whole lot of medical bills and you're sick and because you lost your job, you lost your medical insurance, so you lost your income, you should be asking the medical facility for for their financial assistance policy, and they are required to give you the guidelines and policies and the application, right? A lot of people don't know this, but you should be asking for that, especially you lost your job, you lost income, uh I mean you were making 60, now you're making unemployment, you're only making 12,000, you got all this, you should be asking for it, right? But a lot of people don't talk about this. A lot of people don't give this information, but on this channel we give you all the right answers, right? So the Model Act would clarify the responsibility of large health care facilities that offer language assistance as needed by patients to navigate the FAP, which is the financial assistance policy, right? So if you're Spanish speaking, they should be giving you somebody to help you through this process. Now, guidelines for discount under the financial assistance policy. Under the Model Act, if a patient's household income is at or below 200% of the federal poverty level, the FPL, then the hospital or healthcare provider must offer free care. Let me read that to y'all again, because I'm pretty sure nobody's telling you. Under the Model Act, if a patient's household income is at or below 200% of the federal poverty level, the FPL, then the hospital or healthcare provider must offer free care. If the patient's household income is between 201 to 400%, the FPL, the healthcare provider must calculate the patient's bill based on the medical rate and form that starts pointing of the medical care rate, must offer a discount of 50% for the first $1,000 of the medical expense, 90% for the remaining amount between 101 and 5,000, and 95% for the remaining between $5,001 to 10,000, and a full forgiveness of any remaining charges above $10,000. So let me read this again. If the patient's household income is between 201 and 400% of the FPL, the healthcare provider must calculate the patient's bill based on Medicare rate. And from the starting point of Medicare rate, must offer a discount of 50% for the first $1,000 of the medical expense, 90% for the remaining amount between $1,001 and $5,000, 95% for the remaining amount between 5,001 and 10,000, and a full forgiveness of any remaining charges above $10,000. Right? So in that's a major thing in the financial assistance policy, right? And you should be asking those questions, especially you lost your job, you don't have your income is greatly, you're having medical bills. To avoid getting these medical debts, you should be asking for that policy, right? And see if you qualify for it. Okay. So next section, we're going to talk about section 7, billing and collection rule limits to creditors. Now, no medical creditor or medical debt collection shall be engaged in any permissible extraordinary collection actions until 180 days from the first bill of the medical debt has been sent. I see this violation all the time. I see the medical bill, they went to the doctor in January, and in March, the collection agency received it because the open date says the date they received the debt. Understand that open date tells you the date they received the debt. And I'm like, that was only 90 days. They can't even be putting this on there, right? And then from there, that's a violation. That's how you can get that debt removed and get it off your credit report, which will give you an additional 90 days. They will not be able to put it on. They'll probably pass it on to another collection agency, right? Because they filed it up, right? But gives you another another 90 days to get this taken care of. And we're going to talk about other strategies on that, right? So a large healthcare facility or medical debt collection of a healthcare service provider by such facility should not use any extraordinary collection actions unless these actions are described in the large healthcare facility billing and collection policy. You can always request this. Okay, can I see what your collection policy is? You can always ask those questions, right? And get that from whoever the facility that you receive medical care from. I want to know that. I want to see your billing and collection policy to see if y'all following and the collection agency is following these policies, right? So you need to make sure that they're doing all these things, right? And that's information that you could obtain. And again, all this information is in my master dispute package for you to read, to go over. You may find things that are violations for your specific situation that may help you, right? And the last thing I want to read on this in this section is if a large healthcare facility or medical debt collector collecting debt for a healthcare provider by such as facility bill or initiate collection activities and the patient is later found eligible for financial assistance, the large healthcare facility or medical debt collector shall reverse any extraordinary collection action, including deleting any negative reporting to consumer agency, dismissing or vacating any collection lawsuits over the medical debt, right? So it's not even too late for you. If you go back and you find out that you were eligible for these, then you'll be able to get these deleted, right? So you need to be looking at the facility and see, about the policies, the financial assistance policy, and see if you are eligible. If you are eligible for it, right, then you turn around and you found out, oh man, I was eligible for this. Now they would have to remove that off your credit report. All right. So again, this channel is about bringing you real information, right? I'm not just repeating, I'm digging for y'all, right? Now we're going to talk about Section 11, medical debt and consumer reporting agencies. During a 180-day period, the date when the consumer first was given a bill for the medical debt creditor or the medical debt collector may communicate with or report any information to any consumer reporting agency regarding a medical debt, right? So after the 180 period described in paragraph A, the medical creditor and the medical debt collection must give the consumer at least one additional billing before reporting the medical debt, right? So if they did not, the agency or the medical facility did not send you one last bill after that 180 days, in violation, because you never received an additional bill before reporting this debt. And it states in Section B that after the 180-day period described in paragraph A, right? The first one we talked about, medical creditors and medical debt collections must give consumers at least one additional bill before reporting a medical debt to the consumer reporting agency. The amount reported to the consumer reporting agency must be the same as the amount stated in the bill, and such bill shall state the date is being reported as a consumer reporting agency. The medical debt collector shall also provide the notice required. Listen, provide the notice required by 15 USC section 1692G before reporting a debt to a consumer reporting agency, right? So they reported I did not receive a final bill before reporting. It is required under section 11 under the model medical act, right? Mobility Act, to be able to report this. I did not receive that to give me the last opportunity to take care of this debt. So that's another area you need to be looking into, right? And all this stuff is the laws that are set for them to follow. So if they're not following, it is our job to make sure they're following these rules and regulations that are stated, right? So that's the other area, right? And again, all this information I have for you, right? The next thing is debt forgiveness by medical creditors, right? Forgiveness of any part of insurance patient copay, co-insurance, deductible, facility fees, out-of-network charges, or any cost sharing shall not be breach of contract or other violations of an agreement between the medical creditor and the insurer or payer. Meaning, if they forgive that debt, there is no breach of contract. They could do that and not have any issues with it. So that's something you can always reach out. What kind of debt forgiveness programs do you have? And what is the eligibility form? All of that stuff. So look into that stuff. So look into it, understand it, see what you can do, right? So those were like all the things why I dispute. And that was a lot. That was a lot of things. And I look at all of those things when it comes to the medical debt. And I'm reaching out to the original creditor. There's a violation of the debt collection. I go over all that information based on what that credit report says and the information that I got from that validation letter. That's why it's so important. Don't get discouraged or whatever. Look, a lot of times they make mistakes, right? Because you're not educated. They know most people are not educated in all these things. So nobody's fixing them. So it's our job to fix them. And that's my job to make sure. That's why I get medical debts removed all the time, right? It may not be the first time, but I start digging. That first dispute, I'm going after the second one. I don't try to put a whole bunch in there one time. I just one by one, and I'm tapping away at it. So looking at those letters, what they put in those letters. Oh, I see a violation. Right. Do you really want me to take this to the next level? Because there's a court case it's already show a precedence in this action. Right. So those are all the things you need to do. Now, let's talk about credit reporting. Right. So for me, when I'm looking at a medical debt and I'm looking on the credit report, the first thing I'm looking at is, do they have the original creditor's name on there? Right. I know Equifax is bad. They may put an abbreviation. Abbreviation is not the name of the original credit. I don't know who that abbreviation is from, right? A lot of times they put on there past due amounts. How do I have a past due amount when you're not the original creditor and I've never made a payment and this is not a contract between me and you. I cannot have a past due payment. That's wrong, right? The date of last activity for medical debt, they should be the same. The day they received it and the date of last activity should be the same. There has never been no activity. There are only 3 ways that that date should change. You made a payment, you established and missed a payment, or the balance increased. If none of those things happen, then you can't move that date. And that's illegally moving that date. And they're trying to move that date to change, reporting and purge dates and all that other type of stuff. And they can't do that. So I always look at, hey, medical debt. Hey, did you make any payments? No, I've never made any payments to this. They received it on this date, and that date of activity should be the same date. I look at that. I dispute that. The name, I look at that as original creditor. When I look at, also like I talked about, when I look at do they have a PO address for me to dispute? Or do they have a physical address? If they don't have a physical address, I'm disputing they don't have a physical address. And by law, they should have a physical address for me to dispute this information, not a PO box, right? And you're reporting a PO address. So that's in violation, right? And I make copies of that, right? I keep copies of all those violations. So if I got a debt and I'm like, I'm not paid, these people got 5 or 6 violations, I'm gonna reach out to a consumer lawyer. I'm gonna do the homework. I'm gonna say, listen, I've done my homework. This is a violation. The credit reporting is not even recording a physical address. How do I dispute it? It is by law, they should be reporting a physical address, right? Or they reporting this before the 180 days. They did not give me an additional billing for the one more bill before they reported it. They didn't do that. They were required to do that. I don't know who the original creditor name is. They got this abbreviation. They're showing a past due balance. I don't have a contract between them and a collection agency. How are they reporting a past due balance or last date of last payment? I've never made a payment to them. So how do they get a date of last payment? All these things you should be looking at, right? All those things you should be saying, I need to be disputing. I need to be looking into. I need to get this fixed. And I'm going to hold you accountable if you don't get it fixed. And that's another thing we got to get better at, holding them accountable, right? So those are the things you have to look at. Metro 2 tells you, it says collection agency report the name of the company or creditor that originally opened the account. The consumer, even if the account has been turned over in multiple agencies, right, they still should be reporting who the original creditor name is. The purpose of reporting the original creditor name is to help the consumer identify the source of the account when it appears on your credit report. They have to do that. I don't know who are you? I don't know who you getting this debt from, where it's from, if it's valid. I don't know any of that. Excuse me. I'm not going to come out of my pocket and I don't know all that type of stuff. So, all those things need to be addressed. Those are all the things on the credit reporting side I look at on medical debt, along with the information that we already talked about. Now, you've done everything. You've done everything. You went through and everything they did was correct. They reported it correct. They didn't violate any laws. They sent out the letters. Your last stand is to go ahead and settle the debt, right? Don't let a bad debt ride on your credit report, right? Don't let it do that, right? When you do that, all you do is damage. Get it clear. Get it removed off. And there are strategies, and we're going to talk about it. My strategy is the restrictive endorsement letter. What is a restrictive endorsement letter? You've heard me talk about this if you follow me in other videos. You are creating a contract between you and that collection agency, and you're placing in your settlement amount, right? Your settlement amount, and then you're going to turn around, right? You're going to send your payment method, right? You're going to write a statement on that payment method on the back along with the letter. Within that, it's going to say that I am in good faith attempting to settle this debt and remove this from all credit reporting agencies, right? And then you're gonna put a statement, which is on my restricted endorsement letter, on the back of there. That's gonna once they deposit that check for deposit only, it's gonna be great, right? But I have all this, and I have the pay endorsement requirement and all of that, and then Now, when they go ahead and when they go ahead and cash that payment, they turn around, right, and cash that payment. They just agreed to your terms and conditions. Now, if they don't, now you say, okay, you get a copy of all the payments that they made, that they took payment. You send in the letter, you send it back to them. Hey, there's a follow-up letter in my packet that goes over that says, hey, basically, you need to be taking this off, or I'm gonna request an arbitration, give me a consumer lawyer, and see what my next steps are. Right? Once you start doing that, it will come off, because probably whatever the settlement you made, whatever left that you left, right? If it's a small one, I tell people, if you owe somebody 100, just pay them the whole 100. Don't play games with $150. It's 150, and you want to send them 100. Man, just send them another $50, and don't play with them and get it off. Right? Just get it off, because now it'll come off your credit report. So those are all the different strategies and things I do. Step one is the step Z. Step one to step Z. Step one to step 10, A to Z. Right? I go through all of that when I'm looking at clients' medical bills and all that. Right? I don't play talking about, hey, you're a violation of HIPAA because you send me a bill. They laughing at the other end, because if they know what they're doing, they know HIPAA requires for medical billing, right? But now if they sit down and say, we sending this because you got an x-ray on this day, now you didn't pass out, that's medical information, you're in violation, right? So they may say, well, they didn't say what you know. That's medical information, getting an x-ray. So all those things you need to do, so I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I'm going to go ahead and cut off. You got any questions? You know the deal. Email me if you're interested in this package. You know me, I'm always transparent. It's $69.99, and it's got tons of information, tons of stuff to help you fix your credit, right? Once you get this package, you always can reach out to me. You'll have my phone number. I could, reach out, answer any question, anything that you possibly may need, right? My job is to help you, right? I want to give you the information that's going to help you, right? It's not always about getting letters, right? Because a lot of times these jokers selling you letters, and they done sold it to 9,000 people, right? And they're using the same letter 9,000. I'm giving you information so you can help create your own letter. There's letters in there there are examples, and there's not a lot. Most of it is package and all. It's strategies and information to help you resolve that issue. You don't need just some template letter that you get that you just use, that he sold to 9,000 other people, and you trying to use the same thing. You need the correct information so you can create your own letter, right? So you can put that letter together, because you know what the regulation, guidelines, laws, policies, and all that stuff says. So you can put a great dispute letter and a great validation letter, a great affidavit. But I try to do a lot of that for you, because it's work. I promise you, that affidavit took me a while, and it took, months and months of going through and reading and revising it until I come up with a plan. Same thing with the restrictive endorsement letter, research, figuring out how can I settle, I'm not going to, you're asking for 24,000. How could I pay you 1,600 or 1,200 and still get it removed off my credit report? See, those are the strategies I look for, saving you money, because I understand if they didn't pay that much for the debt. You know what I mean? So yeah, I understand everybody needs to make money, but don't be trying to gouge me, right? So, but that's pretty much it. You know the deal, right? Subscribe to the channel. Definitely come out, hit the bell for notifications, hit the thumbs up. You know the deal, man. The thumbs up is what pushes it out for people that are wanting to know how to get fixed medical debt, right? That's what you want. Hit that thumbs up, man. I wanna have I've never had 100 thumbs up No, I think I never had 100 thumbs. I gotta go through all of them, but I'm pretty sure I've never had 100. I've had a lot of them, but I've never hit 100 thumbs up. Just for one, for all y'all, man, just hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. Push me out because I am truly trying to help people and give people solid credit and repair information. And I'm gonna continue to do this and continue and help you show you how you should be building your credit and other things. I got more classes coming, so let's get into it. And I appreciate y'all hanging out. And hey, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see y'all in a minute.